And good evening. This is the Elliott Wave update for the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500 for Monday, October 24th, 2022. The markets were a little bit difficult this morning and presented some challenges both to trading and the count. But once the market did kind of straighten itself out and decide direction, then the count became more clear, but then I had to go to work to decide what had actually taken place. So I'm starting here on the hourly chart. I'm going to go down pretty quick to the 15-minute and maybe the 5-minute. But I wanted to show that I'm leaving the adjusted count that I made yesterday on the update in place for right now, with the notation that both continue to be considered side by side with an equal probability. So we did not go up above yesterday's high, and that was the Globex opening highs at 11,530. But so I am continuing to label that as 3, but I want to go down to the 15-minute chart to basically kind of show that we have also the possibility that it's actually wave 1. So I'm running these all side by side. The market has to tell us. I certainly don't have the power or the voice to be telling the market, this is what you need to do. So the market's going to tell us. What I can do, though, is show you the possibilities. And then as the market makes things clear, those moves will not be as strong of a surprise. So we'll be able to trade them. We'll be able to make adjustments. We'll be able to continue just to go along with this particular move while we trade. So if this is minute wave 1 of minor wave C, then this would be minor wave 2. Now, this is where it got interesting as well. I would have put the 2 or the 4 here, and then we were starting on that 5th wave. Then we got an opening, and they went after Meta. They went after Apple. They went after several stocks, dropped them very quickly, and so did the NASDAQ go. The bond market dropped. The dollar began to rise and run. And as soon as they were done with all that and the dollar started to sell back down, ba-boom, 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 off we went to the races. So there's still all those correlations. The struggle is still on between, will the Fed pivot? In my personal opinion, no. Or what's up with the dollar, or etc. And I have to be honest with you, in the bond market, particularly the long end of the curve, this is volatility this thing was showing today. This traded down to a low of 117.28, I believe, maybe even lower, and rallied all the way back to 119 plus, then settles back down over a point. Volatile for a bond market, which is usually big by big on both bid and offer, and takes a while to push this thing, let alone 1 or 2 points. It normally takes time for it to push 3 or 4 ticks. So it's a big, big contract. And so to push it around like they're pushing is crazy and makes me not want to go near it and trade it, because if you're on the wrong side, you're dead. Okay, back to the NASDAQ. So again, running side by side. This could be 1, this could be 2, and we're off to the races. Now, I include this because we haven't even started. I mean, we have Microsoft tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, I think we got Google. No, Google is actually tomorrow. So we have Microsoft and Google tomorrow. We have Amazon on Thursday, Apple on Thursday, AMD, I believe, is in November, so it's a week. It is next Tuesday. Let me go back. Meta is tomorrow. Meta is on Wednesday, and Microsoft is tomorrow, like I just said. Then we can move on down. We have PayPal. Again, that would be next week. We have a NVIDIA mid-month. Tesla, we already know, and Twitter is also on Thursday. So we do have tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday. So we have some of the bigger stocks each one of those days. And so having this 1, 2 leaves that room because obviously the interesting thing about Meta today, it was trading as low as 124.30, let's say, right around that neighborhood, traded up to over $130, $130, and then ends up kind of coming back down and closing down on the day. But it was up like $2. It was over actually above 131. So the volatility is intense. And someone's trying to knock this down, and I believe to be more reflective of, well, see, we're going up. But in all honesty, as I've said several times, I just think the volatility it's measured via the SPX options. But actually, when we just take a look, volatility is also reflective of the speed, the gauge of how fast one of these markets or stocks is moving. And so it can move up very quickly as it moves down very quickly. So that volatility gets played on both sides, which is something that I continue to discuss and say, don't feel that if the volatility is going, that the market isn't going to move as fast. It normally will, and likely then, of course, to the upside. So a lot of stuff still going on. But if this indeed is 1 and 2, we have then that room to get a 3, a 4, and a 5, and likely get up to those higher levels of resistance to complete minor wave C, intermediate wave 2, or intermediate wave 4. So all these different counts that I'm clustering together and they're side by side. So because of this, I really wasn't expecting the market to kind of go from actually rallying quite nicely to suddenly turning and then just slipping and falling very, very quickly. And but I needed to swing around and continue to take a look at my 5-minute chart to see exactly what's going on. And it was messy. So I had to wait for it to all finish and then do what it needed to do here to actually put some structure around what I think is happening. So I'm going to leave it right now, though, as 1, 2, 3, 4. And this could be within that minute wave 5 up. But if it stays this way, then I'm thinking, this is going to be the level. This gets us over to that 4th wave of 1 lesser degree. Remember, that's just below this, 11,728. Where wave, again, measuring wave 5 to wave 3, then that comes in 100% at 11,687. So we have these great clusters of resistance to complete the whole move. We just got to get through this week with the larger tech titan companies presenting their earnings. And right now, I would think that Meta is not likely going to blow the doors off of any earnings. And I would place my thoughts or my strength on who's going to actually report something decent towards Microsoft, because you see, Microsoft rallied very strongly today and held on to the rally. But then again, so did Apple. Now, it's interesting how we'll attach while the market's going up, so they must be expecting great earnings, et cetera, et cetera. That may be true, but I want to share something today that that normally people aren't looking at because they're just looking at the stock or they're just looking at an index and they're looking at a count. But when we're trying to decide or looking at going like, God, what's lighting a fire under Apple today? Haven't we already had reports that said that iPhone 14 sales were not as robust as the corporate level or the C-level thought they would be? Isn't that has been reported? In fact, of iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max were not as robust, so they cut back, and then they didn't make enough of the others because they thought they would go for the Pro and the Pro Max, et cetera, et cetera. So there's and that could just be hearsay. That could just be talk, and we won't really know anything until the time comes when we get the earnings and then we get the press conference. So lots going on. But here in Apple, right out of the gate, within the first half hour of trade, somebody walked in. It could have been a group of orders, but there were 15,000 October 150 calls that expire on Friday, purchased right away. And that's really what turned that stock from heading lower to racing higher. And again, if you understand options, if somebody's buying, market makers, that was a good one, market makers are selling. And if they're selling, the hedge is to buy the stock. So supply and demand with hedging. That could be at play in Meta, that could be at play in Microsoft, that could be at play in actually all of the stocks. And so, and it makes sense when you think about it, because if I'm a market maker on Apple and I'm just out there with my bids and offers and somebody comes in and takes a whole bunch from me, sure, that's your obligation to whatever exchange that you're doing it on, and you go and you hedge. And those hedges are immediate. You go directly to the stock. And if they're smart, maybe they're doing something in the puts. Whatever happens, it just generates what we call delta. And then you've got to hedge your deltas. And if you're a gamma trader, you've got to be taking a look at that. And as the market moves around, you're continuing to hedge. So a lot of things go on during the day that don't necessarily point towards, oh, everybody's getting very bullish on this particular stock or bearish on this particular stock. Okay, back to what we're doing here. So we failed to get back above yesterday's Globex high at 11,530. We got close, but no cigar today. So I'm going to leave this as the fourth wave here. Yeah, it did kind of come down. It didn't overlap the body of wave one, but the tails on both sides overlapped each other. I'm really going to allow that right now because this is so broken and busted and crazy. Excuse me. So 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2. This I'm taking as wave 1 of 5 or wave 1 of 3. So again, dropping down to that 5 minute, and I want to break it down like this because this is what we can do during the day as you're trading, and you can put your fibs up. You can give yourself a head start on understanding what actually is happening here and how does it relate to Elliott, and then what does that kind of tell me about what I can be expecting. So again, 1, 2, 3, we got a nice 4. The 4 is in. 1, 2, we're up in the third. We're still kind of fooling around, but these are small. And I'm still working on the minute wave 5. So within that, small, very small. But if I had to say, I would kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, ABC 2, 1, 2, 3, 1 of 3. So again, a lot of subdivisions, but you can get an idea of what the market is likely to do again. And then you can take these and continue to open them up in terms of really seeing what's inside them. And you can put them up and then bring your chart back down. And now you're seeing the actual size of these moves. These are great moves. If you're thinking about this, this started at 11,455, let's say. And it ran all in 5 minutes up to 87. So you're getting 30-point moves real quick. And the downside, real quick slide lower and very consistent. So if you're looking for the pullback, because you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get it up there. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. Right. So the third extended nicely. A little 4, then we got a 5. Now we're going to pull back. Well, what are we correcting? We're correcting this move right here. So you can run, and I'll take them off because your chart will get very clogged up. But if you're the only one looking at your chart, you put it up there. Now you got your level. 382 came down twice, held basically, and roared it back above. Now, could it be A, B, C, and we're going to come back down into here? Maybe. That's also a possibility. Your first wave is all the way down here. So if this is just a wave 2, or, depending on how we're going to label it, but you're counting 5, then you got to count 3. Then you're working on 5. Right now, our trend is up because we're in a C wave up. So we're looking for those 5 waves in an up position and the corrective waves being in a down move. Those put together, and then you collect your fibs and you can get an idea of what the market is doing, expectations possibly of where it could settle. Then you've got your moving averages. So you've got a lot of stuff going into place to help you choose or decide, do I want to buy it or sell it? And what am I looking for? Buy it or sell it. If I'm going to buy it, what's my trigger? Maybe if it breaks 482, that's a little bit of resistance. So it goes up there. I'm going to take it. Where's my goal? My target might be 500. That's a nice move. Where's my stop? My stop's going to be right down here. So you're going to give it maybe 12 points. If that's too big, you pull it in tighter. But you can do all of that before you enter the trade. Now you can go and trade because now you have purpose. Now you've got your rules, you've got your setup, you've got it all put, and it got triggered. And now you've got where the trade becomes invalidated or where your stop is. So a lot of things you can do that's going to continue to help you trade all day long. When the move is done and you don't need those anymore, you take those fibs off because you still have the larger ones that are guiding this entire move up. Right? We got a lot. We got this is the zone up here that I'm expecting still. So we got all tomorrow. Then we get Microsoft and Google. Then we've got Wednesday, and then we have Thursday. So we still have a lot of time for this market to go marching higher. So again, 4, 1, 2, 1 of 3, maybe 2 of 3, 3 of 3, 4 of 3, 5 of 3, and a 4 and a 5. We'll see. Again, remember, upside, we have fibs all the way up, all the way up. And again, these outside, those are, let me go back up to the hourly chart so we can see them. Those are for the 5th wave. So, and then we have additional, which I believe are these out here, which are going to be for wave 2. Right? So we've got retracements for wave 2, and they go all the way up to 12,000. They actually go higher. We've got them all the way up to 12,500. Do I expect that? Honestly, no. But if they go, I at least got an idea of where it can end up because I put my retracements for a larger second wave. It would kick that 4th wave right out of the water and turn the count to preferred right there. If it really starts to break 12,000. Because I still have to go on the premise that minor wave 1 is at 11,981. So if this is intermediate 3 and we're in an intermediate 4th wave, this would not be minor 1. It would be intermediate 1, intermediate 2, intermediate 3. So excuse me for saying minor 1. This would get put up here on view, which I'm now going to call view number 2. So sorry for any confusion, because I got to run them together because their pattern and their structures are so similar in the corrective phase right here. How high it gets is what's going to determine, is it intermediate 2 or is it intermediate 4? The resolution of both is a pretty strong downside move. However, intermediate 2 would be a butt kicker, where intermediate 4 still going to be a slight butt kicker because we got an intermediate 5th wave down versus an intermediate 3rd wave. Intermediate 3rd wave down, wow, get out of the way. It should be mean, it should be nasty. And because we've got all this built up energy about the Fed and the dollar and the pivoting and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, if that doesn't happen, oh, get out of the pool. Get out of the way. That truly would then be, a 3rd wave. It'd be like, bam, just nope, that didn't happen. And it's like death to Smoochie, you could say. And that's a good movie, by the way. Similar to what we got here, disappointment. Similar to what we got here, disappointment, disappointment. So we've gotten plenty of it already. This would be a smaller 5. These are the intermediate legs. So if we're in an intermediate wave 3 and it's going to kick off from up here somewhere, its first intent is to go down and break that low and do that pretty quick. Okay, so that's out there. We're not there yet. So I'm going to go back down to my 5-minute. Let's open that up. Let's take a look. Same deal. I'd be looking for, and again, without actually throwing up my measurements, which you can do. You can put fibs. You can put retracements. Like I said, the small ones. We're not looking for this correction to go correct all of it. That's a 3-wave up. I'm looking, I got to have at least 5. Well, I get the 5 right here. So I can go from here to here or here to here. I can get fibs to put it in. Then likely they're going to start lining up around our moving averages, particularly right here. We've got the 50 SMA and EMA sitting right there at 48.49 or just above 50. Next up below that, you got the 200s at 11,387. So if it comes down that far, we're putting tops in. And it's again, I would not be terribly surprised because it's going to go fast. So we should be able to pick up that we've got that turn, we've got that rejection, we've got something going on that's letting us know we're not going up anymore. We're going down now, and that the trend and everything else is all of what we've been doing in correction is done. And it may end in a failure. And what the failure suggests is that whatever this high is failed to take out this high. Right now, that would be the case, but not by all that much. Okay, so that's it for the NASDAQ. Let's go over and take a look at the S&P. S&P is actually the same story. Let me go back out and let's start again on that hourly chart. So we can see S&P did the same number this morning, bam, and then rising up. But see, it did not come down. So I'm going to leave the 4 here, and this is going to fit in. But I'll tell you what I do often, and I recommend it, to be honest with you. And wrong one. I got to go over here. I go to the line chart. Line chart's on a closing basis. Look how nice that is. Oh, 3, 4. Okay. 1, maybe a 2, 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5, 4 of 5, 5 of 5. Again, we have 39.16, but we got a lot wrapping itself around 38.60, 38.35. We got above 38.11 today. Nice, good deal. So we are progressing in the corrective pattern. Today's high was 38.16. So we got above that resistance, came back down below it. That's fine. But for 1 of 5, 205, 305, 405, and we're done. Looking for the completion of a minor C wave to complete intermediate wave 2 or intermediate wave 1. Excuse me. It has been a long day. Intermediate wave 2 or intermediate wave 4. Both are going to be an ABC. Both have the potential to come into the same area. But again, let me go back out to my, let's put up the 4-hour chart so I don't have to work so hard. Again, if we're putting this back into the previous count, intermediate wave 1 is here, intermediate 2. Then we get a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Those remain the same in that position. And this is intermediate wave 3. And this would be intermediate wave 4. Intermediate wave 4 now coming up into that zone around 38.20. So we got 20, and that's up to 37. We got that 58, then we got 916. 916, not really looking for it as a fourth wave. Fourth wave should not overlap the price territory of wave 1. And that's what it would do if it got up there. So if it gets up here, even though it's not breaking it by all that much, it would break it enough to leave this as intermediate wave 1. And that's not a pretty picture to follow. And we'll put this as intermediate wave 2, and then we've got some stronger downside to do. And I know that does not match with a lot of other people what they're talking about. Oh, relief rally. Oh, Fed pivot. Oh, end of year. Oh. It's ripe for disappointment. All right, let's get back down and let's go to that 15-minute chart so we can take a peek at what's on the inside of all of this. Here we go. If I'm labeling this 3 and this 4, this got a little nasty. But guess what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So wave 1 of 5, maybe 2 of 5. Okay. 1 of 3, maybe not even that. So our pullbacks are kind of shallow. They're holding like the 20, they're holding the moving averages. So if we can get up there, we can get this done. We do have that level. We've got 38.22 to 38.35. We get up into there. Excuse me. Maybe that completes. Wave 3 of 5. Then we do a 4 and we get a 5. And I'm looking at this zone. And as we get closed in on it, that even just makes it stronger and kind of keeps me in line. It's like, yep, I think we got this time. I think we got the count. And so we can count it out and then be looking for the turn. Now, again, I want to show you how I drop this down. So during the day, how we want to take a look at this. You can run fibs. You can put fibs now, and you can use the others, which would be the extensions, right? If I'm looking for this and I'm going to be comfortable that that's the 4, here's the start of the whole thing. Go to there, to there, to there. Now, what's it look like for wave 5? Where are we zoning around? Look at that. 35, 42, 57, 71. All before we get up to 39.16, which is a different outside view, an outside look. So once we start to get this, we're going to define it even more. And again, I can do it on a 5-minute basis. I can continue to use fibs as long as I'm connecting it to the waves that are related to one another. Extensions, 5 is related to 3. Actually, this is not. I didn't do that right. These, forgive me, let me remove that because it's from here to here to here. So we got even more. Look at this. Now we're at it's still right at that 20 level, right? So we have 11, which we've gotten over. Now we got 19, which it got pretty dang close. Then we've got the 22. Then we've got 30, 35, 41, 57, 70. So we got a lot going in right there. 38.70, boom. That's where wave 5 would be equal to wave 3. So right now, wave 1's the shortest. So wave 3 is not the shortest wave. So 5 can equal 3. Sure, why not? To get it up to 39.16, it's going to have to push pretty hard. And still would not leave wave 3 as the shortest wave. So we're okay in that manner. So I just want to show you how I go about doing all of this. If you really care to see that in action, I do it in the trade room as well. And you can reform them, you can redo them as needed. So here we have it. NASDAQ, S&P, both progressing nicely. Not as easy to trade because remember, it's a correction. It's a corrective move. Even though we're going up and even though it appears to be bullish and even though they're moving nicely, it's still, that was a little, took the wind out of the sails because it was coming from the other direction. A quick flurry, boom, and then boom, take it all back. And then some. So how do you want to do it? Carefully. But as a day trader, you could pick up that, okay, we're going, and you just reverse and you go with. And then again, you're looking at your Elliott to make sure that where your break points are that are going to nullify and validate what you're counting and validate it. And so then you better go to a different view or an alternate, or you have everything up and already planned out. If it's not this, then what can it be? Like in the NASDAQ, and maybe it's only 1 of 5. Maybe this is only 1 of wave C. Can we do that here in the S&P? Not as strong, but we can. It did not come down and overlap wave 1 as it did in the NASDAQ. So we got a lot of stuff. So this is a little bit cleaner. All right, I'm going to end it right there. Again, tomorrow, we start the big boys. We start the Titans after the close. So also, let's at least not forget that we also have tomorrow, we have consumer confidence at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's a market mover, but it's coming at 10 a.m. and not pre-market. Pre-market, we have the home price index, Case-Shiller. It's just good information, not necessarily market mover. Wednesday, we have international trade in goods, and we have new home sales. And then Thursdays, we get durable goods and GDP. All right. You have a great evening. Next update will be on Tuesday, October the 25th.